Hi everyone and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about emotional eating, what it is, why we do it, and how we can deal with it. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Irene Rubom Keller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and author of the book Foodaholic: The 7 Stages to Permanent Weight Loss. Emotional eating, what is it? Well, it's basically what it says, and that is using food to deal with emotions, using food to deal with any kind of emotion. Could be happy, sad, anger, frustration, any kind of emotion that makes us either uncomfortable or is somewhat outside of the range of what we're comfortable feeling, can lead us to want to medicate. Bring that feeling back within the range that we feel comfortable feeling. Okay, that's what it is. It's basically self-medicating with food. And then why do we do it? Okay, when you were a little kid, it's probably you could probably pull up more than one scenario of your young life where sugar was the reward. So let's pretend you're at the doctor's office, and when you were a kid, I wonder if they still do this. They were doing this when my son, who's now 23, when he was at the pediatrician. You go to the pediatrician, you have your appointment, you get your shot, you cry, it's painful. Here's a lollipop, sugar, right? You have a boo-boo, it's a cookie. You have some other horrible bad thing, here's some soothing, sweet thing, usually, to make you feel better. And it works. This is the part that I really want you to hear. The reason that we do it, the reason that emotional eating doesn't just go away, is because it actually works. It produces a drug effect within us that makes us feel, if not good, then at least muted, a little bit relaxed, a little bit less anxious than we were before we had it. The natural tendency when you're uncomfortable is to want to get back to comfort, however we do that. Now, if you learn to use food to do that, then that becomes habitual. So that whenever you have some kind of an experience that puts you outside of that comfy feeling range, you're going to want to use food. And when I say use food for emotional reasons, I don't mean broccoli or an apple. Those foods don't do it for us. You're going to need a high fat, high salt, high sugar food in order to get the drug effect of food. Let's talk about that for just a minute, because it's a really important thing for you to understand that there's nothing wrong with you if you feel like you have a food addiction, because even rats have food addictions. If you put a rat in front of Twinkies, they will overeat them. If you put a rat in front of any kind of processed food that tastes good, they will overeat it and get obese. So it isn't just you. There's nothing wrong with you if you have a tendency to go to or overeat or emotionally eat the highly processed foods. They're kind of made that way. So for those of us that really like these foods and are drawn to them and are having a tendency to eat them too much, what's happening when you even picture this food is that the endorphins, the chemicals in the brain, the dopamine that make you feel good, the same chemicals that get triggered by the drugs of abuse, start flowing. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of this. When I did my weight loss journey, I went to UCLA and I went on a full liquid fast for 4 full months, okay? I didn't have one bite of food for 4 months. I lost 40 pounds pretty quickly. Okay, that experience was actually amazing in so many ways because there were no food choices to make, and all of the times in those 4 months that I would have used food, I couldn't because I wasn't eating, and I was what they call in the program a master faster. So I was someone who would not deviate. It was much easier for me to just like, this is just what I'm doing, than, a little this, that, much harder. So just like this, master faster 4 months. So during that time, kind of felt like rehab for food, because although you weren't taking yourself out of your life environment and just working on your weight, you were not able to use your drug while in your life environment. So what happened was I was an actress at the time, and I had gone to do a scene for a casting director, which I did and went very well, and she was complimentary, and that was fabulous. So, and this was later in the evening, we did this scene for her. And so she's looking at my headshot, and I had a pretty glamorous headshot then. So she's looking at my headshot, and she's looking at me. She's looking at the headshot, looking at me, and she's going, and she's pointing at my picture. This is a very beautiful woman, but I like you better. Okay? So in the moment that she said that to me, I kind of went into shock. I don't know if you guys do this, but something happens in your environment you're not expecting. In this case, it was a major diss. That I just kind of shouldn't really say that kind of, you go into a sort of a little bit of denial maybe, or disbelief. It takes time to process something like that. So in the moment, it was like, huh? And then she just was like, you would probably do better with a less glamorous shot because it would look more like you or something. I don't know. She was basically saying, your photo's gorgeous and you're not, and So, okay. So I leave from this experience. I get in my car. I'm driving home. It's 9 o'clock at night or so. I remember it was pretty late. And all I could think of was a samosa, which was what I was eating before I went on the program to lose the weight. And for those of you who don't know what those are they're like a bready, doughy, potato-filled, warm, crusty, soupy thing. Anyway, all I could think of was this samosa. And I'm picturing samosa, okay? I'm driving. I was still on the road, but I'm in my head, right? Picturing the samosa and kind of going there in my mind. I didn't know what was happening then. I didn't understand the process, but what was happening was that even me picturing samosa was taking me out of whatever emotional experience I was feeling at the time, which I was starting to get it, that lady said a really nasty thing to me. It took me completely out of that, and I went all the way to samosa land, fully there. So I'm thinking about the samosa, and I'm fantasizing samosa, and I'm thinking about, where can I get one? I forget that I'm on a fast for this time where I'm a little high from the imagery. And I'm thinking, where can I get this samosa? I really have to have it. And then it kicked in. It was kind of like in the sixth sense when you realize he's dead, and it all oh my God. And I realized you can't have a samosa because you're not eating. And then it was like, why did you want a samosa? And it took me back here, and I was like, well, I don't know. And then I was like, well, why might you want a samosa? And then it's like, well, she said that thing. And then it kind of went into, what did she say? And then I was kind of like, wait a minute. That was a nasty thing to say. That was mean. And then it kind of hit me like, that was a hurtful thing to say. And then I was probably feeling hurt, but honestly didn't even let myself feel that at all. I just went right to samosa. Okay? Had the experience, didn't even let myself acknowledge her. Samosa. See how cozy that is? Now, if I had been eating and I had been able to find a samosa, get a samosa, I probably would have gone and gotten more than one, right? And then had a whole bunch of those. And now I'm going to feel really upset that I just ate a whole bunch of those, right? I'm going to have all these calories. I'm going to feel this. And I may never, ever even get back to why I ate them in the first place or why I was upset. So emotional eating essentially works, but it's a really bad tool. It's a really bad coping tool. It took me completely away from what was happening. And when you go completely away from what's happening in your life, you're not dealing with it. You're not confronting it. You're diverting yourself. You're doing something other than dealing with the issue at hand or feeling whatever it is that's happening, even if there's nothing for you to do. For example, if you lose someone you love, there's nothing for you to do, but it's painful and it hurts. And so essentially, there is something for you to do, and that is to grieve. You know, grieving is a verb, to grieve. I grieve. It's activity. Feeling your emotions is activity. But if we have trained ourselves not to feel them when they feel outside of this range, then we're going to want to medicate. Okay? And so learning to deal with emotional eating, in order to do that, you have to really understand why you do it, what it is, what's happening to you when you even start to picture the food that you're dreaming about. Because once you start to picture it, it becomes really difficult to resist. Because even the picturing gets you going. It gets the endorphins going, and it's almost like a magnetic pull to the thing where you kind of feel yourself being drawn to or taken to something. It's like, no, no. Okay, and then that fight within yourself is what we work on. It's what the emotional work of weight loss, weight maintenance is all about. And that's, you know, developing better tools to cope with your feelings and to just cope with life in general. Because even though this tool does work, which makes it super powerful, it works, it's legal, it's convenient, it's available, and everybody does it. So people are always saying food is the hardest addiction to manage because you have to still eat. And in some ways that's true. That is very true. But you can do it. You can do it. You can learn to manage it. You can learn to work with all of these different situations where you're triggered to eat and work it back before you actually eat whatever it is that you were planning to do. And I can help you do that. So welcome. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm happy that you're here. And if you want to get the book, it's Foodaholic, The 7 Stages to Permanent Weight Loss. I will put a link in the description box below. If you want to work with me privately, I do virtual sessions, and I'll put a link in the description box below about that as well. And that's it for today. Take care.